Tom Kerridge. Collectively, you've got 3 Michelin stars, but what is your greatest hit of all time?
Smoked haddock, parmesan omelette. It's rich, it's indulgent, it's amazing.
Can you make it for us?
Yeah, I can make it for you.
Oh, look, we've got it all here. Cool.
So the first is literally really, really simple, beautiful ingredients, well rehearsed and well practiced. Careful.
Yeah, I know.
It's a hot kitchen. I know you're normally used to the other side. Just imagine everything is hot. This is the milk infusion that we're going to cook the smoked haddock in with some parsley stalks, bay leaf or 2, some cloves, some sliced onion as well. Okay. This haddock comes from Scotland. It's not cooked, but it's gone for a cure and a smoke. It's just going to drop into our warmed milk, gently poached. That's all we need to do because that flavour of the haddock is going to infuse the milk that we're going to then use to make a wonderful glaze to go on the top.
Nice. And how long is that going to get poachy?
That's going to get poachy for about 8 minutes.
And then do we hang out or do we?
We hang out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You have 7 spaces now, really? 7 restaurants?
6. 3 in Marlow, 3 in London.
Which one warms your heart the most? Which is your favourite child?
It's always very, very difficult to say. Kerridge's Bar and Grill here at the Corinthia is something that I absolutely love because I never thought we'd ever have a great, big, beautiful dining room in the centre of London with this kind of like British bistro style that is great food, brilliant team, love being in the hotel. As a kid coming and seeing Trafalgar Square and Nelson's Column and just thinking that we're 50 metres away from it and things like that I find incredibly exciting. But I suppose the one that always makes you go, this is amazing, it's the Hand and Flowers, and it's 20 years old, very nearly, and it's because it's the first one, and it's...
Tom Kerridge, chef patron, Hand and Flowers in Marlow, 3 rosettes and a star. These are the questions that every chef wants to know.
Okay.
If you weren't a chef, you'd be a...
Canadian bear wrestler.
Fantastic.
From that, everything else has grown.
The smoked haddock omelette.
Yeah.
When did you first do it?
It's pretty much been on the Hand and Flowers since we've opened nearly 20 years. We used to do this dish, sort of a version of it with Gary Rhodes when I was at Gary, and it used to be a lobster omelette.
Have you seen copycat versions of it elsewhere?
Well, if I seen copycat, I'm the copycat version. I stole it from the Savoy. It's an original omelette Arnold Bennett, like the original dish, and they still do it at the Savoy, but this was our version of it. Like I come from that old school French cookery where everything has to have butter. It's rich, it's indulgent, it's amazing. This milk, I'm going to make a bechamel with. So the butter and the flowers, and we cook this out.
When you got that first star in the first 10 months, were you surprised or were you expecting of it?
No, I suppose it's a mixture of the two things. I'd been a Michelin star chef. I was 28 years old, 29 years old. Opening that pub, what I wanted to do is take away all the faff that you associated with Michelin stars 20 years ago. That's not Michelin's fault, that's our fault, I think, as chefs and restaurateurs and clients that were thinking that you've got to have 7 different types of canapes and 4 different types of bread and all of this sort of stuff. I wanted to get rid of all of that. Michelin say that they're always looking for great food with consistency.
I'd love Michelin to do more of that. There's a taco stand in Mexico that's just one 1 star, and it's literally a taco star.
I just came back from Singapore recently, and I went to the 1-star pork noodle place.
And when you ate it, did you think it was deserving of 1 star?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought if this is a pork noodle dish and it's the best it can be, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
I do
and
remember,
it's consistent, and there's personality in it.
Well, look, I remember when the first year of the Hand, the conversation with the Michelin inspector when they used to come, have a dinner and then announce. And the Michelin inspector said to me, if you give us more things to judge, then that's what we've got to judge it. If you give us 3 things that are perfect on a plate, you walk away going, those 3 things were perfect, they were amazing. Just do something simply, beautifully, brilliantly, and stand back and just go, that's it, that's what we do. Now that is our bechamel that we will leave to one side. Right, the haddock at this point is cooked. Okay.
Oh God, yeah, it's all flaky and falling apart now.
Yeah, you can see how beautiful, still kind of opaque and lovely that is. We're just going to break a few pieces off because this is going to go into our omelette.
So you got the 2nd star 6 years after you had got the first?
Yeah.
When you got the 2nd one, presumably that caught you by surprise?
I would be a liar to say that we weren't actively pushing for it. So Great friends at the time were, and still are, Paul Bosey with 2 Michelin stars, Daniel Clifford, 2 stars at Midsummer, Simon Rogan, Sat Baines. I would look at their ethos of what they were doing, not the style of food, because that isn't my style. They were, you know, tasting menus are smaller and very much about this kind of ultimate dining experience. The ethos of the way that they operated in the kitchen, we were doing exactly the same. When we achieved that 2nd star, it made a massive statement, not just UK-wise, but kind of almost globally. Like a pub can win 2 stars.
The chef friends that you mentioned, do you guys have a WhatsApp group called like 2-Star Legends or something?
No, we are on a group text.
Called 2-Star Heroes? No.
Actually, no, it's a gastro trip.
Sounds like good content, Will.
Yeah.
Have to have 2 stars to be able to,
Yeah.
go, so we can't go.
Well, actually, there are some
Get your stars
exceptions.
out.
There are some exceptions to the rule. Claire Smith came with this on the last one. So you could have 3 stars if you want. So we'll make the glaze up, smoked haddock bechamel. It's just cooled down a little bit. This is all that flavour of the poached fish, raw egg yolk, and then equal part hollandaise sauce. And then this glaze sits in a warm place.
In your heart.
Yeah, in my heart. But actually sits in a warm place in the kitchen. So this is ready to go. So we have our ingredient, and it is literally now going to be a case putting our omelette together.
We filmed at Harrods in the dining rooms when it first opened, and that was really fun, and we love it there. But then online, there's been a little bit of a backlash on pricing there.
Yeah.
Is that because of the produce and the personnel, or is it because it's partially driven by Harrods?
Yeah, both of those things. One, I have nothing to do with the pricing at Harrods.
Really?
So Harrods run and own that space. I have everything to do with the quality of produce that we buy. So it's day boat fish, it's really expensive, and all of those sort of things. They set the price, that's nothing to do with me. So that backlash always comes to me. It's also in the most beautiful grade 1 listed food hall, arguably in the world, in the most expensive shop, in the most expensive city, in the most expensive part of the city, like in the world. Like, it's Harrods. Everything about it is going to be expensive. If you're expecting something, you know, cheap and cheerful, you don't get cheap and cheerful in Harrods. You get a quality level. In some ways, I just find it very lazy journalism as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Cast iron pan. We'll go directly onto the plancher. Butter, proper amount. Once the butter is melted, eggs go in. You're just gently stirring it around. It's not one of those dishes that you can leave, and that's where you want it. No further cook than that.
Are there any times when you almost wish that Hand and Flowers didn't have 2 stars because of the pressure and the expectation that people arrive with?
The first 6 days were amazing. And then the next 6 to 9 months were horrible. They were awful. They were really, really hard. Good Parmesan, grated on the top. Proper blanket layer of it. People comparing it and say, well, it's not the Ledbury and it's not the Manoir. And we had to fend that off a little bit by going, look, in the Michelin Guide, there's a little pint pot next to it. We are a pub. We are not a country house hotel. We are not a Mayfair restaurant. It is, here's your plate, mind it might be a bit hot. The haddock that we've cooked, just kind of sit in and don't be shy as well with the amount, okay? And then you get the glaze, then you spoon it into the middle, and then we let it find its own route. And then there was a massive embrace of the Hand of Flowers. I mean, it won Gastropub of the Year, it won Restaurant of the Year, National Restaurant Award. And it was like all of these things, it was just like all of a sudden, we don't need all of that other stuff to be able to be recognised as really good. We're kind of like that entry level.
My first Michelin,
Yeah, and I love the fact that we've made it feel perhaps just a touch more attainable and accessible. And then that is the simplicity of that dish. It is literally eggs, Parmesan, haddock in the glaze.
I love the smells from this. That's so delicious. I love the tang you get, the caramelization you get, the creaminess, the textures from the fish. It's just...
It's a great dish. Honestly, it does make me feel a little emotional, that dish. I do, I love it. I love everything about it. The simple things, ingredients treated with love.